Ooh.
What is up, everybody? I am Kevin Iole. I was at MGM Grand Garden in 2007 when Floyd Mayweather fought Ricky Hatton. And that was quite the day that day. And on that undercard, there was a skinny young welterweight that I saw fight early on in the show and said, that kid may not be half bad. And that
Yeah.
kid right now joins me, Danny Swift Garcia. He is actually fighting. He's no longer a skinny welterweight or skinny super lightweight. He is
Yeah.
a middleweight going after the WBA middleweight championship against Erislandy Lara on September 14th at T-Mobile Arena. Danny, how are you, my friend?
I feel great, man. You just took me back. I
Yeah,
remember I remember that day. That was my second pro fight. And I remember just when they gave me my tickets for the fight and I was sitting in the nosebleeds and I looked around, I said, wow, I have a long way to go.
yes. And
And
you
it's
made it
like,
all the way down to the first row and into the center.
yeah. So that fight really motivated me a lot as far as like knowing how much more work I had to do, just watching those two stars fight and just packing out arena. So that fight actually like motivated me, to be a
Really?
star one day. Yeah,
That was such a great atmosphere to be part of, with the British fans, with, there's only one Ricky Hatton and, Mayweather's, his colorful performance. So yeah, I can see. There were a lot of good young fighters on that card too, as I remember.
yeah, that was a great night. To me, that was one of the best atmospheres I ever been to in a boxing event. Those Ricky Hatton fans are special people, and they bring a lot of energy.
Yeah, they were something. Well, you were fighting on the Canelo Alvarez undercard. I have to admit, I was a little surprised to hear that you were going to be fighting for a middleweight championship. Like,
Sure.
how long had you thought about this move going up to 160? And do you feel physically that you're ready for that weight?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely feel ready. I feel like my at this age of my career, I don't want to put no wear and tear on losing so much weight. Obviously I can still probably make 147.
Hmm.
Well, I'm more of a 154 pounder, but the fight is at a catch weight 157. So, I'm going up basically only 3 pounds and he's coming
Right.
down three. Um, but yeah, I feel good. I'm sparring bigger guys. I'm taking a punch well. I've been hit clean in camp a couple times, and I just wanted to see how my chin stood up, how my stamina's, um, with the extra weight. And I feel good. I feel good. I'm happy. I don't have to lose that much weight.
Yeah.
My problem is keeping it on. So that's really much it. But other than that, I feel good. Camp is going good. Tough like always, but it's a part of the game.
Danny, I think when people think of somebody fighting Erislandy Lara, they say, well, you better be ready for all this tricky and he's hard. But it seems to me like he has kind of switched his style. And as he's become bigger and gotten older, that he's more going to be there in front of you, not moving around so much and not as crafty as he used to be. Would you agree with that? And how do you think he is compared in this current style compared to, say, what he was when he fought Canelo Alvarez 8, 9 years ago?
Yeah, definitely. As you get older, you do slow down, but your brain never stops working. So now I guess he's more comfortable. He has so much experience. He's more comfortable just staying in the pocket and, trying to pick guys apart and land that big left hand. And that's what he's been doing against the, opposition he's been facing. So yeah, he's definitely, a tough guy, gritty guy, champion. And I know that he's coming to fight and it's gonna be a great fight.
You are now a promoter as well as a fighter, right? I guess this is going to be your life's work after the
Yeah.
boxing career is done. What have you learned about yourself promoting other people's fights that maybe can help you in your last few fights and make you bigger?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a new experience and something I always wanted to do, something I always wanted to try. I already promoted two fights this year, one in Atlantic City, one in Philadelphia. I'm actually doing another fight in October. It's definitely a different feeling. It's more, I would say it's more exciting because, you get these young guys that look up to you, they idolize you,
Right.
and it's like you kind of giving people hope, and that's what it's all about, giving these young guys hope and giving them a chance to showcase their skills. And hopefully one day, I'll be the biggest promoter in boxing.
One of the things that, like I remember talking to Sugar Ray Leonard when he started Sugar Ray Leonard Boxing many, many years ago. And one of the challenges he faced was whenever he would go to a town to put on a show, everybody would want to interview him instead of
Yeah.
the fighters, right? And I'm sure you face that a little bit. You go to Atlantic City to put on a show and they know who Danny Swift Garcia is. They may not know the guys who are on your show. So how do you balance that? Like, how do you go out there and get them the attention and the show the attention and not Danny Swift Garcia?
Yeah, that's a good question because, when I was doing the interviews leading up to the fight, I was trying to promote the fighters, but they kept asking me questions about other stuff
Right.
and they wouldn't even post the promotional stuff. So that's not something I learned too, is like, if I'm gonna do interviews heading into the promotion to promote these fighters, then make sure that you guys ask me questions about the fighters and not really other things about boxing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you just have to learn how to flip it over, switch it over and make it about the fighters. Like I said, when they do the promotional the advertisement, the posters and stuff, make sure that they put the fighters on there and not me.
Right.
Because I'm not fighting. We're promoting the fighters, but it is for promotions and just make it all about the fighters as much as you can.
If you were going to promote Garcia Lara and try to sell it and tell people, hey, buy tickets to this show, watch this show, give me like a 30-second version of how you'd promote that show.
It's Danny Garcia, taking a shot at greatness, going up for his third division. He's been one of the most exciting fighters in boxing for the past 10 years. And when Danny Garcia comes to fight, it's never a snoozer. You're always going to get your money's worth. So make sure you go out there and watch and make history.
You have been in there with so many good fighters over the years. One of my favorite fighters of all time, Eric Morales, you were in there with, and Amir Khan, which was an incredible performance by you, Zab Judah. I mean, there's so many good fighters that you've been in with. Yet I kind of feel like maybe as you're near the end of your career, 37-3, I feel like you're a little bit underrated. Do you feel like you got overshadowed by some of the other guys in your time and that you haven't gotten the recognition maybe that your accomplishments would suggest you deserve?
Some people say I'm underrated. Some people call me an overachiever. I heard a lot of things.
Uh-huh.
But if you look at my resume, it speaks for itself. I'm a two-division world champion, unified 140, became a champion at 147. Fought the best at 140, fought the best at 147. So if you really look at my resume, you know about boxing, then you know what I've accomplished. I sold out the Barclays Center multiple times, and all historic events. I brought a lot to the. If you look at the last 10 years of boxing, I gave the boxing world a lot of entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they promoted me as the underdog, and that's why I probably get overlooked. But every fighter has their image, and I guess that was mine. That's what stuck to me.
When you look back, like, is there one performance that you're mostly proud of? Like if somebody said to me, Danny Garcia, I would immediately think of that KO of Amir Khan. I mean, that was like so violent and so, so clean and everything else. That's the fight that I would kind of think of. Is there one that stands out in your mind that you say, hey, if people remember me for anything, I want them to remember me for this fight?
Definitely, that was definitely one of the happiest wins of my career. But I wouldn't say that one because a lot of people saying I wasn't looking. I got lucky. I hit him with a no look left hook. But then when I came back, I beat Zab Judah in Brooklyn, and I was the underdog against Matisse, and nobody thought I was going to beat Matisse. And after I beat Matisse, I beat Amir Khan and Matisse. In the span of a year, that was like, I belong here. Can nobody take that away from me? And then I went up, won another title, and then fought Keith Thurman for a unification fight at 147 on my first defense. So I always tried to be great. I always took shots at greatness.
I want to brag a little bit too, because you mentioned Lucas Matisse. And I remember after you defeated him, your father got up and said, nobody in this place picked Danny Garcia to win that fight. But there's one person who picked Danny Garcia to win that fight, and it was on video that I picked him. And Richard Schaefer, I'll never forget this. Richard Schaefer was standing behind your father as your father was talking, and your father's letting us in the media have it. God, you guys don't know what you're talking about, and I told you Danny was going to win. And Richard Schaefer whispered in his ear that I had picked you to win that fight. And then your dad kind of like just looked and goes, oh. It was very funny when that happened that night.
Yeah, that was like the only people who really believed. I mean, you believed, but the only people who really believed were me and my father, you know,
Yeah.
and it just felt like us versus the world that night.
How many do you think believe now? Your Lara is a minus 235 favorite in this fight to retain the WBA championship. Do you feel like, you're kind of back at the beginning again where you got to convince people that, hey, I can do this?
No, I understand, I'm coming off a 2-year layoff. He just came off a nice knockout victory against that last opponent. So, there's questions. People have questions. Danny hasn't been in the ring in 2 years. He's moving up in weight. Lara's a big guy. But I know what I could do. And Vegas always has me the underdog. I guess they um they want my family to make money.
Apparently, they're giving you
Vegas
a
has
chance.
always been good to me. I was the underdog against Matisse. I was the underdog against Khan. And I have a great knockout victory against Brandon Rio. So Vegas has always been good to me.
Yes, that's for sure. Let's wrap with this one then. In the main event, Canelo Alvarez is taking on Edgar Berlanga. A lot of people criticizing Canelo, including myself, for taking this fight against Berlanga, who's kind of younger. If you were the promoter of Edgar Berlanga and you're advising Edgar Berlanga going up against the great Canelo Alvarez, one of the great fighters in the world, one of the great fighters of our generation, how do you tell him to, forget the noise, forget all what people are saying, and perform at his best?
Well, you really have to just lock in. You know, um, you have to have a spiritual team. Make sure they protect you, and make sure they don't let nothing get to your head. Make sure they're checking up on you. But just go in there like it's another day in the gym. That's the only way you can look at it. It's just another day in the gym, another sparring session, and don't look at it like you're fighting Canelo. Just another guy, and just fight round by round.
It is going to be anything but another day in the gym on September 14th when Danny Garcia, the co-main event, is taking on Erislandy Lara, looking for his third championship. Danny, appreciate your time, brother. Good luck to you, and best of luck as a promoter as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Be well.